Hello and welcome to this tutorial for AdonisFX version 2. My name is Marco Romeo and I am the founder of Inbibo. At Inbibo, with a team totaling around 40 years of cumulative experience in digital creatures, we have created AdonisFX, a digital anatomy framework used by the best visual effects and video game studios. In this tutorial, we will learn the basics of our new major release. We will start with a simple skin cluster, like we can see here. And we will work our way to get to this final result that is, a complex simulation of the different layers of digital tissues for this arm. So that way, we will create sensors and locators to keep track of the biomechanics of the skeleton. From there, we will also create muscles, like you can see here, the different muscles, and setting up the behavior for all of these muscles so they behave dynamically, but also we have muscle fibers firing, etc. We will work on the deep fascia, that is the connective tissue between each of the muscles. And next, we will work on the actual superficial fascia, that is the connective tissue that surrounds the muscles. We will add a fat layer on top, which is a volume that is used to simulate the behavior of the fat on top of the fascia. And then we will apply the final skin layer that is simulated and finally merged together with the results from the animation. So having all of this, with this tutorial, the idea is to allow you to start rigging your own creatures using Adonis. And while we will publish more tutorials in the future, this tutorial really gives you the foundations that you need in order to understand how to use Adonis the best way possible. By opening the scene called AdonisFX 2 101 Rigging an Arm Start, you should find the following in the scene, which is the mummy. That's how we call the skeleton. This is a layer, this is a geometry that is basically a continuous geometry at the joints to allow us to really ensure that there are no poppings with any sliding constraints and stuff like that, but also a low polygonal count to accelerate as much as possible the work of the solvers. Then we have this group that is called locators. And this group really at the start, it only contains all the locators required for the forearm system. I can show you right now. So you see the ulna and radius system so that all the things are twisting the right way. Then we find the muscle geometry group here. That contains all the muscle geometries. Then we move to the fascia layer. So this contains the geometry for the fascia. On top of that, we have the fat. On top of that, again, we have the skin that we will simulate. And finally, the skin render. The skin render is the geometry on which we will bring together the results from the simulated skin and the original results from the skin cluster applied to the skin. Now, the skin cluster applied to the skin, you can already see how poor the results are. We cannot see any contribution, any effect of the arm flexing, so we don't see anything happening in this area. Or again, the arm extending, we don't see anything happening with the tricep. But most importantly, we see that this volume is truly not right. And finally, when the wrist rotates, there is nothing happening in the forearm. Typical skin cluster behavior. And that's what we want to improve on. And so by working on the layers, as I just said, we will be able to achieve that. So let's start rigging our asset. Now, let's hide the animated skin so that we can see the mummy animated. Let's make sure that we have everything in play, set to play every frame, and a maximum speed of 24 frames per second, so that we are sure that we're seeing everything at the right speed here. Yeah, everything is fine. So what I want to do now is that I want to show the muscles, and out of these muscles, we will focus first on the brachialis muscle. This will give us a very good starting point for our muscle simulation. So I'm going to pick this up and say, okay, this is going to be my target geometry, and this is going to be my my muscle to be simulated. So I can now double click here to create the muscle like this. Adonis will take care of auto-populating the name for you from the selection that you currently have in the viewport. And let's click create. Let's have a look at what this did. So now here we have a set of standard attributes, but very importantly, Adonis had created the solver by setting the pre-roll start time and the start time both at 980, which is the frame at which you were when you first created this muscle. It's super important that if you are anywhere else in the timeline, you always rewind to your initialization frame, and it's there where you create the Adonis solvers. As you can see, if I play back, nothing happens, which also means that we need to paint some maps. To begin with, we're going to start with very conservative values, which is going to be an attachment geometry baseline of 0.3. And let's do a replace flood like this. Now, one thing that we modified in Adonis 2 is that we added the ability to view paintable maps as an heat map, which will give you way easier feedback. Will be way easier to read the feedback from the viewport about where you painted what. So now let's paint the extremities. So here, the origin and the insertion to 1, which is going to give us this very hard attachment for the muscle on the bone. Now I can come back here and play back. Yeah, and we can already start seeing that something is happening. Let's have the whole animation happening so that we can see how the muscle is going to behave depending on the speed of the motion. Okay, so it's pretty stable. Now, if you wanted to have more dynamics, it would be as easy as bringing back the global damp multiplier. Let's go all the way down to 0, like this. And let's see again the result of the simulation. You can see that despite being everything attached, I mean, it's displaying some dynamics. For the time being, we're leaving this to 0.7750 because at the end of the day, what we want to do is make sure that we have a first pass of the rig ready and then we will go into fine-tuning everything. So now this is a muscle that is doing something, right? It's a geometry that is doing something, but it's not doing everything that we need it to do. Because we also need it to activate whenever the arm flexes. In order to do that, we select the muscle, we click here, and we do tendons, and we can paint where the tendons start, so the origin, and when the tendons end, which is the insertion here. And with this painted, now Adonis is going to take care of displaying the fibers. Here you go. Because these fibers are basically created by Adonis between the tendon maps that I painted. So let's turn this off now, and we can actually see what this means for the simulation. Let me turn up this activation value, and you will see that the muscle will activate. Okay. When the muscle is activated, it will produce strain on the system, which will also mean that the muscle will behave, will be stiffer. Okay. There you go. Cool. Let's turn it down to activation 0. And now we need something to actually monitor what is happening on the mummy, on the skeleton, actually, and to use that value to drive the muscle activation. So I'm going to select this joint here and this joint here, and I will now say, okay, double click here to create an Adonis sensor distance locator. So this will be L underscore elbow underscore flex. So in my case, my naming convention, which is by no means fixed in Adonis, you can use your own naming convention, but my naming convention is going to be side as capital letter for left or right, or C if it's center, underscore part, the joint that is basically performing the action, and then the action, which is flexing. So we're flexing the elbow. There you go. And now I can come here, open remap settings, distance, input and output ranges. You see that it automatically sets here the distance at rest, right, as the minimum distance. So the distance at which we want 0, and now we have to fill in the distance at which we want 1. So to do that, okay, now we can say that at this point we want it to be activated. We copy paste this value here, and we're done. There you go. Now all that is left to do is to connect this sensor to this muscle by selecting them and going AdonisFX, Sensors, Connection Editor, Reload Left, Reload Right, Activation Distance, and instead of plugging it inside the main activation value, we're actually going to use the activation layering system that we have in here. So we will select the first slot here and do a make connection. This later on is going to allow us to do all sorts of tricks to basically manage multiple sensors driving the activation of a single muscle. Now that this is done, I can play back and I can see that my muscle is properly activating when the sensor is firing. Cool. Let's now work on the triceps, which is going to present other very interesting things. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select the 2 geometries of the skeleton and then the tricep. double click, cool, create. And I will go through a similar setup, but this time I have two targets. So first of all, I will start with the main target, that is the arm, and I will go with a 0.3 weight and flood it. Now, having done that, let me switch to heat map. I'm going to paint this guy here to 1, like this. And I'm also going to paint this to 0, because we actually want to attach this entirely to the other geometry. So let's do this. Cool. Now let's select the shoulder. Let's go here. Nice. And now I'm going to paint this to 0.3. Fine. And I am going to paint this to 1. Cool. Let's go back to the arm painting. And now in this case, I want all of this to be 1 for a very, very specific reason. And it's because I want to preserve this landmark here, like this. And now we can start look at the first result of the simulation. Okay, there you go. Okay, let me stop, rewind. And now let's paint the tendons here and here and here. So this will give us a set of fibers that will allow us to actually activate the muscle. There you go. But they are pretty much scrambled just because this geometry is way more complex than the one from the brachialis. So let's make sure that we comb this properly. Not having fibers that are pointing in weird directions, it's really detrimental to the quality of the outcome of the activation. So having a fiber that, for instance, points in this direction will make the fibers in this area contract in this direction, which will surely produce noise at the end of the day. So make sure that there is a nice flow this way. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Let's fix a little bit more. Okay, this should be fine. Oh, like this. The only the orientation, so it doesn't matter if it points up or down. It's just the direction, right? It's just you can think of it not as a semi-segment, but as a line, really. But yeah, we have done this. So now, in theory, I can activate it. Okay, there you go. You see, but it activates very uniformly. Everything activates. But triceps are actually not like that. Triceps have a very prominent tendinous area that occupies this space. And they have the two heads, the two bellies in this case, that that are separated. So what can I do there? I'm going to use the fiber multiplier map, this one, so that I can say that actually in here, I don't want any fibers. Yeah, let's do this properly. Then I will make some adjustments for sure. But for now, at least I will be able to show you what the end result is going to be. Okay, we will use a lot of this also for the biceps, for the calves of the character, for instance. Yeah, let's do this way. And here too, so that this is treated as a true tendon without fibrous tissue. Okay, and now when I activate again, you will see that the result is quite different. Wait a second. Nope. Here. Okay, things should be right. Okay, we will refine it later. But the important thing is that now we can see this happening. Well, yeah, you see? It's now bulging and doing all of that only in this top area and not where the fibers, where the tendons are. So let's paint these back a little bit. In order to update this map, you always have to rewind. Otherwise, it won't pick up your changes. That's an important thing to keep in mind, obviously. Otherwise, you may think that it's doing nothing while it is. Okay, and okay, let's see now. Okay, good. Fine. So now with this in place, we can create a sensor for the elbow extension. So 1, 2, here, L underscore, elbow underscore, extend. Create. And now we do the same thing that we did before. So we go here, we look for the frame where it extends, this one. And now we go here to the sensor. We pick these up and we set it here. Done. Cool. Now 1 and 2. Let me bring down this activation. And we do 1 and 2. AdonisFX sensors, connection editor. Distance. Okay, make connection. Cool. So let's see how this behaves now. Good, the landmark is there, very clear. And there you go, our tricep activates when the elbow extends. Nice. Okay, having done this, and before moving to the bicep, we will have to work on some other muscles of the forearm. In order to work on the biceps, we first have to work on the pronator teres here, the palmaris longus here, and the here, the flexor. This is because, as you can see, this tendinous part of the bicep is actually laying on top of these three muscles. So let's hide the bicep, let's hide these two, and let's get to work on this one. So let's select the arm geometry and the muscle geometry. Now we double click create, and let's paint some maps. So let's do this. Let's do 0.3 as a baseline as usual, and then let's go like this. You can also turn off the color correction in your Maya viewport if that is making your painting look not so clear. But you can also do this to make sure that you're truly painting white. Okay, like this. Cool. So let's make sure that this is 0.3 again. There. Okay. Now with this in place, I can turn this off and I can see the result. Yeah, I mean, it's quite rigid, but we're not caring about that at the moment. Just let's get to a very stable result and then we will refine from there. Okay, very, very stable, extremely stable. Definitely too much stable, if I may. Now, let's paint the tendons so that we are then ready to take care of the activations. Here. Yeah, like this, and like this. Let's have a look at the fibers as usual. Just to make sure that everything is point. You see this one? This is the kind of thing that you want to avoid. This is that is completely orthogonal. You have to get rid of those. So let me go there. Oh. Okay. Here. Okay. Okay. Cool. So now we have to create the pronation sensor. So let's show everything. And the pronating the arm will mean that we're getting this joint closer to this one. This joint closer to this one. So like this. So let's come back here and let's do this. This would be L, arm, pronate, create. And now let's go get the moment where that is actually happening, like this. Fine. So let's pick it up. Out distance, max distance. There you go. Now we do 1 and 2, and as usual. Nice. So now we should be seeing how it's activating while pronating. Cool. So let's turn to the flexor digitorum here. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 here. Then paint and let's isolate and go 0.3. Flood, heat map, and I go, okay, all of this is white. the usual drill, okay? It's what I want this to be is just, hey, we're getting to result very quickly by following some rules. And then obviously, if we want to modify in any way the behavior, making it looser or tighter, etc., we can come back here and paint again. Let me come here to the fibers. Sorry, not the fibers, the tendons. And let's do this here. Okay, something like this should work. Okay, and then this. Cool. Nice. So let's have a look at the fibers. Okay. Let's make sure that they go in the right direction as usual. Okay. And okay. More or less there. Nice. So now I have to take care of the flexing of the fingers. So I'm going to take this, right? And the distance from this joint of the finger. So this will be L underscore fingers underscore flex, which I believe is truly not happening in this rig, but we can most definitely go get that value and insert it. Okay, like this. Let's go get it here. Oh, what happened? Okay, now. Well, actually, yeah, I don't want to set it because I need to undo the transform and now go there and set it. Okay. Here, done. Okay, and now we have one missing. That is the the palmaris longus. It's this one. So we come here, 1 and, oops, 1 and 2, come on. And with this one here, we're going to do, create a muscle, create, and let's paint this guy here. I believe I forgot to attach the sensor to the previous muscle. We will do it in a moment. So here, I'm attaching it directly here. It's not too much of a problem, really. Okay, like this. And then the tendons, so that it generates the fibers. Okay, cool. Now that I have this, I can, yeah, look at the fibers, but most importantly, let me make sure. Yep. Now we come back here and we have to attach this to this. Like this. And we also have to create another sensor that monitors the flexing of the wrist. So we need something that goes from here to here. Yep. So these will be these will be this, and this is L underscore wrist underscore flex. Okay. There. Let's go capture the moment where this flexes like this. And as usual, we're going to copy, paste it here, there. And now we can do 1 and 2 and connect. Make connection. Nice. So now that we have this, we can have another look at all of this. Yeah. Okay. So things are happening, and yeah, you can see how much is jiggling around. We will have to fix that. Okay, let's now move to the biceps. So let's make the biceps brachii visible like this. And we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3, also the brachialis because it's found underneath. Then 4 and 5. And finally the biceps. So it will have, the biceps will have 5 targets. Let's double click and create. Now we paint. So the bulk of the weight will actually be on the brachialis. So let's make this 0.3. And you see we still have a lot of range on the low end if we wanted to. This is something that we actually did in V2, where we gave people the option to work with, we basically rearranged the whole range of value of weights values, so that what was before 0.1 is now 0.35 actually. So this will give us way more range to play with, to decide where to make things stiffer, where to make things jigglier on the low end of this range. So let's flood it, and then we have to remove all of this. Okay, let's do this properly. This and like this should work. Fine. And then we're going to take the arm and we will do something similar. Like this. Okay, we actually, we may want this one, like this, and like this, and then we're going to go with one here, and finally we have, well, not finally, I wish. We're going to go here, all of these to 0.3. From here, 0.3. And then 1 at the top. This. Now let's focus on the bottom area. So let's start with the pronator teres here. And I'm going to do this. Sorry, my bad. Let's do this first, and then we will see if we need more weight, which I believe we will, but I want to get there slowly. Okay, and then we have the palmaris, for which we're going to go like this, like full on. Okay, okay. That's right. Finally, we have to attach this to the arm so that actually the forearm can be lifted, and we're going to use this here. Let's see how this is working here. Yes, this seems about right. Good. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what happens now, okay? Obviously, we have not painted fibers yet, nor tendons. There's no sensor attached, etc. But I want to see the behavior of the arm. Okay. Yeah, it's jiggling a lot at the bottom end, but yeah, we will improve on that. Now, what we need to do is let's paint the tendons like here and here, here and here. And with this in place, fiber multiplier. Now we want the bicep to pull from above, right? So let's paint this 0. Okay, it may be that we're going to paint these back to 1 for a very specific result that we may be looking for. But let's have this guy bulging and pulling only from that center belly. Okay. Okay, like this. Like this. Cool. Let's rewind so that the new map is picked up, and okay. Now, as soon as we activate it, we should be seeing something interesting, hopefully. Okay, you see it's pulling from here. Okay. Now, let's turn off the activation, and we have to connect this sensor to the biceps like this. Okay, so activation distance here, make connection. Cool. So this will work here. Yeah, this is working. However, it's not clear. It's not all that we need, right? It's not everything that we need, because the we have pronation, but we also need supination. And supination actually affects the behavior of the bicep, because the bicep is involved in the supination process. So let me take this, okay, and do double click here, and we go L_arm supinate _ create. Yeah, are we? Yeah, arm pronate, arm supinate. Now we're going to look at the moment where the supination happens. There you go. And so we take this and this. And so here we have the firing sensor. However, we want to blend these things, right? So if I flex my arm and then I supinate the forearm, I can still see a lot of activation happening there. So for that reason, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to multiply the flexing. I'm going to multiply it by 0.6. Okay, so that then I can add another layer that will take care of bringing the contribution of the supination, like this. So now we should see how the arm flexes, and I already have a good amount of, you can see it here, of activation. But then as this flexes, it will supinates, I will be gathering it and adding it to the overall weights. So you can see that during supination, the muscle keeps activating. There you go. So there is that last final bit of the activation happening there. Let's play it back as usual. Okay, we will have to work more on the attachments, but also consider that we have not worked on the sliding yet. So there is also a lot of work to do on the sliding, still to be done. That will also make everything stick way more to the target geometries. Let's now work on the muscles of the forearm. So let's actually hide the ones that we already did here and show these. I'm not interested in deltoid yet. Need brachialis here and carpus ulnaris, and I think that's it. Yes, these are the ones that we have to work with. Is this all correct? I think so. Yes. Cool. Let's start from down here, from this one. So we go 1 and 2. Easy. And we double click and we go through the same drill. So we do this and we replace. Let's work with the heat map here. Oh, sorry. Here, yes, I think so. Yeah. And now, so again, 0.3, flood, 1, we attach this a lot, and here we attach everything. Cool. Then we have to paint the fibers. The tendons, sorry, like here and here and here. Cool. We can also paint some of the fibers multipliers, as we don't want any of this actually. Okay, and any of this. Cool. Oh, this is heat maps. So yeah, that's right. So now we're in this situation. Yeah. Then let's unhide. Yeah, let's have a look at this. here. So 1 and 2. Let's create the muscle, create, and let's paint it. 0.3, flood, and 1. Yep. Okay, we do this, maybe even this. Cool. And let's paint the tendons here so that we can generate a fiber flow. This muscle will be activated by the extension of the fingers. And let's paint the fibers multiplier so that there is no actual fiber activation in this area. Okay. Cool and cool here. Awesome. Yeah, and here. Now we then have to work with the other muscles. So let's work with this one and this one here. Let's create a muscle, and I'm going very, very fast so that I can have a first setup for everything here. Attach to geometry, and we go again 0.3, which I'm pretty sure that we will have to bump up. And then we have, the reason why I say that we will have to bump up is because we will have to play with both increasing these attachments for the forearm, and at the same time start applying some sliding, and that will give us basically further stiffness and tightness for the muscles around the radius and ulna. Tendons, okay, here and here, cool. And now let's use the fibers multiplier to say, okay, no fibers here and no fibers here. Fine, not that necessary actually on this muscle, more on the muscles that terminate on the fingers. So then 1 and 2. Let's work on this one. This one is going to be super tricky to set up. So let's make a very quick setup. Let's understand what may be required to improve it, and then we will do it. But yeah, these two muscles are super tricky because they have to twist around the forearm, but they also have to obey the flexing of the elbow. So okay, let's paint this one. Here we are, and so this is 0.3 again as a baseline, flood, and then we go 1. Okay, so again, let's do something and then we make it better. Okay, cool. Let's go to the tendons and here so that we have some fiber direction. There you go. Okay, and now, if I'm not mistaken, we have the last muscle here to set up. So 1 and 2 and 3, create, and 0.3, flood, and 1. Okay, at the end of this process, I will check if maybe I missed some muscle. I still have the feeling that I'm missing one muscle, but I'm probably wrong. And well, I know that I missed the deltoid because the deltoid will be the last muscle that we will do. But yeah, so I'm going to check that in a moment. Tendons, here and here. And all of this. There you go. And now I can display everything, and actually everything. It looks like I have all the muscles. Okay, cool. The deltoid not set up yet, but let's go. Okay. So we have a first version of this. It is time now to create some more sensors. So let's create the sensor for the flexion of the arm. Sorry, the extension of the wrist. So L_wrist extend, here, create, and let's capture the activation here. Okay, so this is it. Here you go. And then we also need to do the flexing of the fingers. So we need this 1 and 2. And we have L_fingers_extend. Not flexing, extension. Create. Now, as I did before, for the flexing of the finger, I have to come here, read this number, undo because I have no animation for the fingers, and put it here. Cool. Something else? Yes, I have to work on the. So we need the adduction and abduction of the wrist. So we need so let's work on the abduction first. So that will be keeping track of this. So this is L_wrist_abduct. Okay. Let's see. I probably have to create the case. So let's do this. Let's take this, undo, and here. And then on the other side, we have to do the adduction. So 1 and 2. and we have L_wrist adduct. Good. And now we do this. Take this value and put it here. Okay. So now we should have everything to start connecting the arm, the muscles of the forearm. So this one is mainly activated by the abduction and by the flexing. So we have to take the flexing, the abduction, and the muscle. Come here to sensors, reload left, reload right, and we do a first activation distance to least value 0. Then we reload right so that we have the new entry there, and we do this, make connection, cool. Then for this guy is, yeah, it's mostly the flexing. Well, it's actually the flexing and the supination. So we go with this one, and supination is going to be this one here, and then the muscle itself. So we do this, and then we reload and go like this. Cool. And then we have this one that is going to be the extension of the wrist and the extension of the fingers, like this. So this one, and then this one. Okay. And in here I have the adduction and flexing of the wrist in this case. So let's do this just to actually, let's just use this one, just the adduction here. Sensors, connection editor, left. There you go. Cool. So now I can play this back and see what happens. Yeah, as usual, it will jiggle a lot here. But yeah, that means that we can now work on the deltoid and then review all of the muscles so that they are as tight as they need to be. It is now time to rig the deltoid. So let's make it visible. Actually, all of these locators, I can now move them into the locators group here. So they are hidden there. And I can show the deltoid here. So for the deltoid, I'm going to select both these geometry and the arm geometry, and finally the deltoid here. Double click here, and we have, yeah, this one. Now let's paint some weights. So we have the arm. We're going to make it 0.3 as usual, like this. And then we're going to have the shoulder at 1, sorry, here. Yeah, all of these area. Cool. Now, nothing, yeah. So then we have to go back to the arm and do this. Again, just to get something working. Cool. So then we have to paint, yes, and let's paint the tendons here, like this. Here. Yep. And like this, so that we can generate those fibers. Okay, and now let's have a look at the fibers, because this is typically a challenging muscle. So here, yeah, you see all of these orthogonal fibers, we have to get rid of them. And again, you can really leave this combing as like the very last step on the muscles, but yeah, in this case, I'm just being methodical and making sure that I go through most of the first steps every time. Okay. Most of it is here. So now let's create the sensor for the elevation of the arm, 1 and 2, right? So from here to here and here. So create. Oh, let's see what happens. What have I done? Probably selected something wrong. Let's see again. Yeah, whatever. Who knows? Well, who knows? I can probably find out here. But yeah. Wrong selection. Okay, cool. I just misselected something. Okay. Now let's go to the point where the arm elevates like this. And we can bring these in here. Cool. So now we do 1, 2, AdonisFX, sensors, connection editor, boom, boom. And we go from distance to activation list there. Okay, so now let's see that like this. Okay, now we may want to actually have the arm here, the deltoid, sorry, here, not inflating this much. So what we can do is that we can we can actually apply a relax node on top, and we can increase the ratio. And after increasing the ratio, we can come here and paint it so that we are going to relax it only in this area. Yeah, and now we can smooth it. Okay, probably we need more. Okay, let's see. Okay, cool. So now, obviously, we want this to happen only when the arm raises, which means that we have to connect this activation to the envelope of this deformer. You see? Actually, let's make sure that we call this. Yep. Obviously, follow whatever naming convention you have at your studio or in your usual workflow. And now we can, yeah, as I said, connect this one to this one. So let me select the relax node here. Then I select also this guy here. And in the node editor, I am revealing both of them here, so that now I can do this. This means that as the arm lowers, the relax node is removed and there is no relaxation happening. You see? 0. Okay, cool. We added a new sensor, so let me put it here. And now we are ready to start reviewing everything and basically getting ready to add the fascia, the fat, and the skin. The first thing that I want to review is all of the behavior with these muscles, okay? Because this is a very complex situation. So let me turn off the joints here and select all of this and isolate it. Okay, let's see. Because this is now going to flex. Okay. We have to make sure that nothing collapses. Okay, quite good, I have to say. Maybe I can make sure that this one follows this muscle, so that, let's see, when this happens, yeah, that that spacing is preserved. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 and add the target. And now in here, I'm going to do this. Okay. So that's nice. Let's have a look. Okay, now they work together nicely. The other thing that I want to check is this muscle here, because I believe it's not really doing what I want. Yeah, I don't like that at all. So let me add this as a target here, like this. And now we are going to ask this one to follow a little bit more this one. There you go, like this, and probably we can go with 0.3 here and here. Okay, So yeah. Okay, let's see if we can actually extend it to this one. Well, it's actually there. So let me try if I do one. Okay, let's see what happens now. Oh, yeah. Let's continue. And then we will have to make sure that it doesn't collapse with the one below, right? So, let's see. Okay. Now let's uncover this one. We can probably actually make this one sit on top of this one. Let me take these weights off completely. Here. So that we have only the hard attachments there, influencing that target. So only the ones that are there. And here. And now I add this one as a target, like this, so that now I can try this out. Oh. I hope it doesn't collapse, that's the thing. Okay, not too bad. Let me now do a smooth. Okay, could be better, but I think that we can focus on something else. Okay, interesting. Okay, so now let's place the fascia on top. Now that we have the first setup in place, despite the fact that we may want to modify the stiffness, etc., it is now time for us to create the first layer on top of the muscles, which is the glue layer. The glue layer mimics the behavior of the deep fascia. That is the fascia that exists between the muscles. So it's going to make the muscles work together as a unit. So I select everything and then I click here to create the glue layer. This creates a new geometry that I bring here inside the glue group. So I can now hide the muscle group. Obviously, this is all non-destructive, so we will be able to go back to the muscle layer to do fine adjustments later, despite the fact that then the glue layer will still be operating as usual and inherit all of those changes. Now, with the glue layer selected, let's just make sure that we have a muscle shader applied here. And we can come here, and in the attribute editor, we can set the glue layer to have a glue distance. How do we select that glue distance? The glue distance is the distance at which each vertex of one muscle has to find its closest point on any other muscle, okay? So let's activate the debugger so that we can look at it. So glue constraints, here you go. And we can set the max glue distance to 1. Rewind. And now we can see these connections that are being created, right? Like this. Let me actually choose a different color. Let's use green or purple. Okay. Very bad choice. Blue. Okay. So with this there, we can then play with the max distance like this and make sure that we reach the distance that we want where the muscles work together as a unit. However, the problem that we may encounter there is that in some areas, they're actually not helping us achieve the result that we may want. So for instance, in here, we may actually want, let me bypass the glue for a moment. Yeah, we may actually want these to raise a little bit, to not be pulled down like this. So we can use the paintable maps for that. So paint, AD glue, and we go to max glue distance multiplier, or actually glue resistance, even better. And we paint these to 0, which now means that I can go back here, rewind, play back, and now these will not be pulled down as it was before. Okay? This kind of thing, and you can do this at on different muscles, etc. But typically these areas are the areas where there is bending happening and you really need your tendons to activate and straighten, and be free to do that is really where you need some help, let's say. Let's put it that way. Yeah, this is hard to get right. So unfortunately, we cannot paint this on the separated geometry, maybe in the future. So for the time being is kind of tricky. Okay. Also this one for sure. Okay, let's smooth it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So we can actually go this way and isolate select. And then we go like this. Okay. Cool. Let's see what happens now. Okay. Well, actually, this should already be on top of on top of that. So we may actually want that. Okay. So let's have a look again at this. Okay, actually, what I believe that is happening here is that the tendon of the original tendon. Oh, no. Yeah. We have to free all of this. Okay. Let me isolate again. Okay, otherwise this will not be able to pull, but even there we have to see if maybe we have to do something anyways to free these more from the muscle rig. Okay, we have done this. So let's say that we're happy with our fascia layer. Come here, close the debugger, and we can now jump to the fascia. To work on the fascia now, we have to make it visible, first of all. And we have to then select these geometries, so the geometries of the skeleton, because on the skeleton we will have the landmarks. And then we have to select the glue layer. And finally, we select the fascia layer. With this done, we double click here. And this will be fascia, geo, AD, and skin. Create. And we can look at the result. Okay. Yeah. Cool. One thing that is very important is that we don't have too many aberrations here, and we have them. So I know that there is some folding happening on a real arm. However, we want to reduce a little bit of that. So we apply the relax node. We call it fascia underscore relax. We apply 10 iterations and we pin it over here. With this in place, we now paint it so that the weight is 0, but on the forearm. Okay, so on the forearm, we're going to go where the issue may be presenting itself, here. And we have to understand, okay, what is the value that we may want here. So yeah. Maybe too much because we're losing all the detail. So I'm going to go 0.5 and see if we need to add more. Okay. Like this. Oh, and here also we want a lot of relax actually. Here too. Probably here we want a value of 1 towards the end of the forearm. Let's see here when we go the other way around. Okay, we may want more here. So let's do 0.5 again. Okay, and probably 1. Come on. 1 here. Cool. Like this should be fine. So yeah, we may also want to relax a little bit in this area. Okay. Okay, not too much, otherwise we will lose the landmarks. And now let's smooth. Okay, let's have a look again. Nice and nice. Cool. Having this in place, we now unhide the fat. And we do 1 and 2. So fascia first, fat second. And we create the fat solver. Okay. So we check these out. Let's see. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay. Maybe I'm not too happy with when the arm twists there. So we can probably get something better. Now, before going to the skin, I will go through a process of making all of the muscles stick a little bit more together. I mean, being more attached to the bones. But yeah, here we have our arm coming together. In order to review and tweak the muscles, I have hidden all the other layers and made only the single muscles visible. So I can play this back, and the situation that I want to improve on is this separation between the muscles and the bone. To do that, let's come here. Let's start from the flexor digitorum. Let's enable the paint tool, and now I'm going to work on the slide on geometry. The first thing that I will do is that I will try with a value of 0.5 like this. So let me paint it. Okay. Okay. And then I'll paint it over here also. Okay, this is not enough to tell the system to actually do the sliding. We also have to go here on the correct tab for the flexor digitorum muscle, and we need to set a max sliding distance. Let's go with 1 unit, which in my case, because I'm working at scale 1:1, is 1 centimeter. So with this, I press play. Actually, let's rewind just to make sure that weights have been picked up. And let's see what this muscle is going to do now. Okay, you see? It's not separating that much. Well, it's still doing something weird. Okay, maybe we can try and reduce. Yeah, because I can see it here, right? So I jumped in time. It's basically going. Yeah, because of the sliding, it's going on the other side. So we still have to work a little bit on the attachments there, but at least it's not moving away. So let's work on the attachments. And to work on the attachments, that means that we can increase these attachments here to 0.5. And we can also maybe have just this one being 1. Okay, so let's see. Okay, again. Okay, all is good. Okay, and now we'll go through the faster movement. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, it's this faster movement that is problematic. So to counter that, let's add some more attachments here. Let's try with 0.5. Over all of this area. Okay, looks better now. So let's have a look at the other muscles. These ones, for instance. And let's come here to the sliding and set a full sliding of 0.5. Okay. I'm going to slow down the FPS so that we can see it at half the speed, because otherwise it's quite hard to catch. Oh, I have to set the maximum sliding distance first to 1. Yeah, it's the right one. Nope. Palmarus longus, no. So this is the palmarus longus. Yes. Okay, cool. Sorry. And we were setting this one, which is wrong. Okay. It's still, the attribute editor can play tricks. Okay. So be super careful when you use the attribute editor, making sure that you are on the right tab there. Okay. It's still separating. Okay. So let's actually also work on this one. Let's add some more. Yeah, probably some stiffness from this, because surely it is pulling everything. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I like it more now. Okay, so let's now come to this one. Refresh from selection. We painted the sliding. Let's try with the sliding actually of 1, which in this case should be fine, because this is not doesn't have any tendon that has to tense. Yeah, so it's fine to use a very high sliding value with those kind. Okay, cool now. Okay, nice. So now we can start working on this one, I guess. Let's see what is happening here. Yeah, you see, because it's going everywhere. So again, we have this. We paint it. And to paint this, it means, first of all, go to the brachialis and set the max sliding distance to 1. And then make sure that all of this area is sliding heavily. Okay. We don't want to affect this area, because otherwise what will happen is that it will not be left free to raise when the muscle activates. So we also have to check for that. Okay, it's working nicely there. Then let's jump here and let's have a look at this behavior. Okay. Yeah, I think we can also work a little bit with the attachments, because here we have made these stronger. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sliding geometry, that's right. So let's actually make this super strong, and let's see. Okay. Then now let's jump to the next muscle. Let's see what it does in the context of the nearby muscle. yeah, we have to do the same work on this one. So refresh from selection, and now I believe that we can, let's try with a very heavy value on the mummy, and let's see what happens. So this is the extensor carpi, here, max sliding 1, let's have a look. Nice behavior there, which is always the risk. Let's try again. Nope. It surely has very low values over there. So let's work with the attachments. Whoop. Yeah. Cool. Let's work with the attachments a little bit. Okay, so we have this. Yeah, because there is no coverage, right? So let me add some attachments definitely here against the brachialis, like this. Then with the mummy like this. Cool. Brachialis, let's review this. Yeah, and I believe that the problem that we're facing here is that then we don't have much there. And so that is pulling away. So we can probably go with a 0. Let's try to go with 0.3 from the brachialis on this one. Okay, this one should be 0. And now I'm going to isolate and paint over here. Yes. And this one should be 1. Okay, let's see now. Good. Come on now, move really fast and work. It's still... Oh, damn, it's so fast. It's really hard to see what is going on. Okay. Yeah, there you go. We don't want this. So let's come here and work with the attachments on the mummy. And hopefully we can resolve it this way. No, sorry. Wait a second. Okay. Let's see if I do this. If all together the different layers properly contribute at keeping that, sorry, not the different layers, the different targets contribute to that. Good. Okay, it's way better now. Good. So let's see the next muscle here. Yeah, we definitely want to have these extensor carpi max sliding to 1 and refresh from selection. Let's slide it all. I want to be sure the attribute editor is such an enemy in these cases that this is extensor carpi longus and this is the brevis. Brevis 1. There you go. Okay. It's very easy to mess up. Nothing related to Adonis really, but yeah, it really makes your life harder the way that the attribute editor sorts tabs in there. So much so that we're thinking about probably creating something of our own to deal with that. Okay, not too sure what was happening there, so let me review it again. Yeah, this obviously is the slowest part of this tutorial, just because we have to make so many adjustments. Okay. So these guys are actually going through, so I'm pretty tired of this. So let's do the following. Let's attachments and just let's make sure that this is, because anyways, it's not like that this has to raise or whatever. So it should just be fine to do something like this. And then something like this here. Like this. And everything else should be cool. Actually, maybe just for completeness, just let's add to the skeleton at least a 0.1 across all of the points that were not actually attached at all. Cool. And now okay, good. Okay, and we are going to do the same for this guy here. It would be easier then if we want to free some of the constraints. We can always do it by painting lower values. It will be much easier. Okay, cool. Let's see. So these 3 and these 2, let's make sure that they are working properly. Okay, quite nice. Then let's see this guy here, what it does. Okay, it sinks a little bit. So same treatment as always, extensor digitorum, max sliding distance to 1, refresh, slide on geometry. Let's make it slide through all of these geometry patch. Nice, good. And having this done, now we can also come to the attachments. Make sure that over here it's heavily attached. And over here, obviously, because we need to bend the wrist, we're going to go, well, we're going to leave it there and we're going to smooth it out like this. Come on. Okay. Good. Final muscle of the forearm is this one. Refresh. Extensor carpi ulnaris. Yes, the name matches. So we can come here. We do slide on geometry. We paint it all over here to 1. Like this, and then we go to the attachment. We attach these more. Like this, and then we smooth. Cool. We have to make sure that we retain these ones, which, yeah, they're still there. Nice. So now we can look at it. Okay, cool. If you want to free it, to have more of a jiggly behavior, you can always go there and remove attachments. If I look back at the fat now, and jump there, I will see the effect now of the muscles of the upper area. And you can clearly see how they are, yeah, just, in my opinion, jiggling too much. Now we can come here, sorry, we can hide the fat layer, display the muscle layer again, and we can do a similar job to what we've done for the muscles of the forearm. So coming here, brachialis, set a max sliding of 1, isolate it, we switch to slide on geometry, and we can do this. Okay, and this maybe. We can smooth it like this. Cool. And we can start looking at what the behavior is for this muscle. Okay. It looks like that the main body is behaving properly. However, I believe that now we have exaggerated a little bit too much. So let me scale it by half, because now it's just too stiff. Let's rewind and play. Okay. Yeah. Definitely better now. I guess that if we were also to remove the global damping multiplier here, we would have, yeah, more jiggly effect. Yeah, the muscle doesn't stop immediately. Cool. With this in place though, still we have the problem with this tendon, right? So for that tendon, I'm going to go to the attachment, and I may have to increase this. I can also go with the sliding here, with the slide on geometry. Let's have a slide of 0.3 maybe. Let's see what happens. This is still pulling, which is key. Okay. Okay, let me do the rest. Let's see again. Okay, I will leave it here because I will then show you something else, okay? That is also another use for the activation layers that you will find, I hope you will find interesting. Now, what we have here is then we can de-isolate, and now look at this one. This will still have, yeah, it's still moving a lot. So again, same process all over again. Let's paint. We want to stick to this guy. So let's make sure that it's sliding on top of it. This is the biceps brachii, 1, and we go 0.5. Oh, sorry, my bad. Brachialis here. We paint it to 0.5 where they overlap, so that these will be moving on top. Then we switch to the arm. We do a little bit of the same over here, like this. Okay, and then for the arm we have to do something similar here. Let's have a look at what happens now. Okay, so let's go back to the attachments and make sure that this attaches. Let's see again. Okay, the problem that we may have is that this is actually falling on this one, right? So because it's following, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also try this, because we need to find a way to sort of not add up on the jiggliness, right? So we're sort of zipping it to it. Okay. Cool, but now we have to make sure that the behavior here, yeah, it's still portraying a behavior there. And also what I want to see is this guy here, if there is any way that we can free it. So let's set this to 0. And let's see if I set this to 0. Okay, then I know what is happening here. So what we have to do is that we have to make this behave as a fiber, which hopefully is going to tense it. Okay, it's going to make it stretch. I mean pull basically, and produce strain. Let's see if that is true. Hopefully it is. Yeah, you see now it's pulling more. Okay, fine. Fine. So now that we have that, we can work on the tricep if that is needed. Let's have a look. Yeah, just a little bit, really. So refresh from selection, triceps max sliding distance 1, and let's make sure that it can slide. 0.5, all of it, but this area here. Yep. We actually don't care about this. Oh, sorry. No. I was making something stupid. Flood and then 0 this one out. Maybe this one. Yes, we want it. Okay, and then we need to get rid of these guys here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Time to look back at our fat layer and see if now we have a better behavior. I'm still running at half frames per second, 12 frames per second, so that we can see all the details properly. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's bring back the full power of Adonis and let's play it back. Let's make sure that all of the dynamics make sense. Now it is time to look at how to apply the skin solver on top of the fat. So I will select the fat, select the skin, double click on an Adonis skin solver and create. With this created here now, I can hide the fat and I can come here to paint. So by default, these will be very, very hard, as you can see here. But actually what I want to do is add some sliding so that we can see some interesting sliding properties across the arm. So let me come here and here. And also in this area would be very cool. Like this. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Now I can smooth it out like this. And if I go back to the hard constraints, I have to be very, very careful with the landmarks. So, sorry, this has to be 1, and this has to be 1. Okay, which now means that I can go back to the solver and apply, for instance, a max sliding distance of 2. And can play this back and see how it behaves. Let's see again. Okay. Something weird there. We definitely have to look at that. But overall, I feel the max sliding distance 2 is too much. Probably 1 centimeter is enough. Yeah, especially here we can see it. Okay, now that I look at this weird behavior towards the end, now it's very important that, so I can strengthen the arc constraints for sure, but I also have to be careful because it may be that it's something that is happening in the layer below. So I don't have to overdo it and then being in the situation where actually I'm trying to fix the wrong layer. Okay, so let's have a look at this on a frame by frame. Okay, so I need to know, is this happening on the skin or the fat? Now, this is one of the coolest thing about Adonis, right? Because you're not working on the different layers on different caches or actually different scenes or different networks. You're working on all of these inside the same scene. And now we can see what is going on here, right? This is just too fast. And this is basically all one on top of the other. So what? Sorry. Yep. Here. So a few things we can do here if we really want to. We could paint some relaxation here, but I don't think, I mean, if we really want all of these dynamics, maybe it's exactly what we have to do. We can give it a try and see how far we can get with that. So let me pick these up, paint, AD and relax, weights. And I can paint these weights here to be 1. Yeah, I can definitely improve this. Okay, something like this should work. Okay, so let me smooth. Okay. So now this will reinitialize the other layers, which means that we can come here and have another look. Okay, so we get something, but it's not that bad. So it's like, okay, cool, we can work with this. Come here, and we can now look at this simulation in its entirety and make sure that we're not doing anything too crazy on this skin. Okay, cool. Having this ready, now when we move very fast, typically what happens is that to achieve that speed, we typically have our muscles way more activated. So we are going to look at that now. We are going back to showing the muscle layer once more. And then we need the joints. So let me see, I believe that I hidden the joints from here. Yeah, cool. So now that I have these back again, I can select this point here, this joint here, and I can create a position sensor. There you go. Left arm. Okay, so let's make it larger. Let me select it here, and I have to make sure that it's bigger, like this. And now what we want to draw as an output is the velocity. For that reason, we have to set the ranges. So when velocity is 0, it will be 0. When velocity is 10, it will be 1. There you go. Well, way too much. So when velocity is 30, maybe. Okay, let's see. What am I missing? Okay, I need to look at those things so that okay. Okay, so here it's moving really slow. We don't care. Here is moving a little bit faster, as you can see. Cool. And here is moving way faster. Okay. So now that we have this sensor, what we can do is that we can plug it to all of the muscles. However, before doing so, we have to check the situation with the extensor carpis brevis because I noticed through the process that it may be that it's not properly connected. There you go. There is no activation value incoming. And this muscle is involved in the flexion and abduction of the wrist. So let's select these two sensors. Let's select the muscle. And no, sorry, let's select the muscle here. Great. And it will be this brevis muscle. Now, sensor connection editor, reload left, reload right. And we do this, make connection. Let's reload again. And then this and make connection. Cool. Having this in place now, yes, we can finally go on and connect the sensor. So let's open the node editor like this, and let's bring that node in here. There you go. Here we have it. Let's show all the attributes so that we can see the activation velocity here. Now, we also have to bring in all of the solvers, and to do that, let me actually make these a little bit bigger. Okay, will be a lot of information in a moment. So we turn off DAG objects only, and like this. We have all the ADN muscle solvers in here. We could have searched for that also doing like this. Okay, by using the search bar, using the star as the wildcard. So let's add it here, like so. And having this, we go activation list. So we come from here to here. Great. And from here to here. From here to here. And we keep going with the same process so that we always connect to the last entry. Let's keep going. Like this. Yep. And keep going. Like this. And like this. Here you go. Okay, a bit boring, I know, but now we should have what we need to move forward. So let's just recap. We have connected the activation velocity from the position locator to the last slot available in the activation list of each of the solvers. So now let's go back to DAG objects only. Let's place this one in the locators group like that. And now we can have a look at these muscles. Let's see. Yeah, everything should be working. And we can also come here and do muscle, draw fibers. There you go. And now if I play back, yeah, we can see the activations of all of the muscles. And most importantly, the fact that when this locator moves very rapidly, here we can, yeah, everything activates even more. The two skins obviously are very different in what they achieve. You see, this was the skin before, and this is the other skin that we created. We could smooth these out a little bit, I guess, but yeah, let's leave it at that. And we want all of these to come together into this final skin. So let's open these groups like this. And now we can say that we want skin merge, where we take the final mesh, we add it. We take the animated mesh, we add it. We take the simulated mesh, we add it. We can have multiple meshes if we want to, if you prefer to work in patches, whatever. And we create it. Now we hide everything else. And we play back. And we will see that this is just the animation result. However, we can now paint this. And we can paint the blend. And wherever I blend to white, this is going to be my simulation. So we will see now that all the simulation is happening here in the low part of the arm, and the animation is happening on the top part of the arm. Nope. Sorry. Let's see now. Yeah. You can see actually the clear cut there. So having that, I can now select what to retain and what not. Let's imagine that for whatever reason, your deformation rig, there are some details that you want to retain despite the simulation, then you can use this system to do that. Let's imagine that, for instance, you have a beautiful elbow that you really want to keep because it's doing something super special. You do this, and now, yeah. Yeah, this elbow is the one from the animation, which actually is not good. So actually, in this case, I just want to use everything coming from the simulation. There you go. We have to make this a little bit stiffer. Let's do that. Yeah, I just realized that this one here is probably getting out of there. Yeah. Let's make sure that it's not the muscles. And if it is the muscles, it will be very easy to fix, hopefully. Actually, let me do this. Okay. So it is the muscles. Nice. That's sort of good. Whoop. Let's go back there. And this. Okay, let me be very harsh with that. Let's see now. Okay. Okay, now it's just a mild offset, really. Yeah. We can improve it on the final version of the file that I will that I provided. I will have fixed all of this. By looking into the provided asset for this tutorial, you will find a file called AdonisFX 101 rigging an arm end. And this file contains the final result of the entire process. Now let's have a look at what that means. So let me start switching things around. So you will have the full set of locators. This includes the locators for supination, flexing, extending, adduction, abduction, but also the velocity of the arm movement. Then you will find all of the muscles being set up. And the cool thing here is that you can select any of the muscles. You can come here to AdonisFX, click here, and investigate what were the values that were painted through the tutorial so that you can better understand the setup. Then we have the glue layer here. And the glue layer, again, once again, comes with relevant information on how we set up things like, okay, how can we free these muscles from the gluing process, or making sure that you have the right values entered in here for the max glue distance. Then moving forward, we have the fascia. Now for the fascia, I invite you to make sure that you check all of the different maps. Just to make sure that you don't have anything wrong in there, but really should just be a matter of having a lot of hard constraints, as we can see here. And then very, very important, checking the relax map that is going to tell you how we managed to retrieve the various landmarks on these fascia coming from the layers below. Then we have, let's move to the fat layer. In the fat layer, again, very important, we have here, we have removed shape preservation in this area so that the detail from the landmark of the elbow would be preserved during the flexing of the arm. And let's look at the other layers. Also the hard constraints here, very important, again, in order to retain the landmarks. We also have a fat relaxation that is happening here to basically get rid of any possible undesirable folding that may happen due to muscles basically arranging themselves one on top of the other during the torsion of the wrist, especially during not the supination, during the pronation of the wrist. And then we look at the skin layer, and for the final simulated skin layer, we have reduced the compression resistance in this area because I didn't want it to have wrinkles. So reducing the compression resistance removes wrinkles basically from the system. And then we have the hard constraints that were set up and the set of sliding constraints to add some more interest to the overall system. We have also reduced the stretching resistance in this area because otherwise the stretching, trying to prevent the stretching would have killed this detail here for the elbow. And also in this case, the shape preservation was reduced to 0.5 here so that we could still have that nice landmark of the ulna popping out through the simulation. So this terminates this tutorial. And in the future, we will have more tutorials to look at self-collisions and other aspects, but this truly covers all the basics of setting up a simulation with Adonis. Thank you very much.